I was an orphan, and was pleasantly surprised when a rich man adopted me the year I turned 16. At the time, I even thought my friend Grace was jealous of me. Yet when I came into the family, my adopted father did all sorts of strange things. A week ago, I saw an old man in rags crying in the garden. I thought he was homeless, so I asked him if he was okay, and gave him the chocolate in my bag. To my surprise, he gave me a hug, and said he wanted to repay me. The next day when I went to school, the old man came to school and found me. Afterwards, I found out that his name was Edward, and he was very rich. He decided to adopt me, to thank me. Soon I moved into the mansion, and went to the aristocratic private college I had always dreamed of attending. On my first day of school, I was very nervous about whether I would get along with the others. Fortunately, my classmates were very welcoming, so I got along well with them. Perhaps because he was worried about the difficulty of integrating me into the new class quickly. Mr. Edward bought all the students the latest Apple Watch. Before I came to the school, Callie was the richest girl in the school. However, I threatened her position, so she hated me, and deliberately spread the word that I was an orphan in the school. At the time, she was always giving me freebies to humiliate me, and making fun of me by telling me to distinguish between international brands. Mr. Edward was really nice to me, but he sometimes acted in an extreme way. For example, he would break a $2 million collection to make me laugh, and even try to buy Kelly's company to punish Kelly. But I stopped him, because I didn't think it was that serious, and Kelly was just humiliating me. At the time, Arlen never followed Kelly's lead in humiliating me. I tried to resolve the conflict with Kelly in my own way, but I failed. When Mr. Edward brought a tiger to school to intimidate Kelly, and I told Grace about it, and she was incredulous, and reminded me how strange Edward's behavior was. However, I insisted that she was jealous of me. When she left in anger, I felt regret, and realized that some of Mr. Edward's behavior was really extreme. Mr. Edward made it impossible for me to make friends at school because many people were afraid of me and stayed away from me. Today, when I was tired from staying up late, a nice boy took me home, but Mr. Edward took the boy for a thug. After the story got out to the school, everyone was afraid of me, except Arlen, who still liked me even though he had distanced himself from me. Since the tiger incident, his tenderness and thoughtfulness made my heart flutter, so I decided to agree to go out with him. However, Mr. Edward's overprotective attitude towards me made me worry that he would do something drastic if he found out what was going on between Arlen and me. I knew that Arlen would leave me if that really happened, so I had to lie to Arlen that Edward didn't mind us dating, while lying to Edward that I was there to meet Grace. With my insistence, I had a wonderful and mundane date with Arlen without incident. In order to keep Mr. Edward from finding out, I had to disguise and convince Arlen to go to some remote place to meet me and avoid revealing my relationship with Arlen in public. Whenever we went out, I always avoided intimacy in public, which made Arlen feel sad, and that I didn't want to be with him. I explained to him, and made up my mind to slowly introduce him to the most important people in my life. The first of which was Grace, with whom I had agreed to go on a 4-person date, and Mr. Edward had invited me to go on a trip, but I told him I was going to see Grace as usual. He looked a little sad, and I felt guilty for rejecting him and lying to him, so I decided I would tell him about my affair with Arlen afterwards. The 4-person date went well. At that point, we went to the town where Grace and I grew up together. A huge colorful car with my picture and Grace's picture on it was seen by Mr. Edward. Mr. Edward was so excited to see us that he happily came running towards me until he saw me with Arlen. He cried and left. Although my date with Arlen went well, I felt terrible, so I decided to apologize to Mr. Edward. What I didn't expect was that Mr. Edward wasn't angry about it, but happy that I was blessed. He was too busy with work and no children to show his love, but since I came to his house, he became much happier. He loved Grace and decided to adopt her, and Grace and I became a family. Our boyfriend was approved by Mr. Edward. Maybe after that, we can start an adventure for 5 people.